This is A Geek Leader. Hey guys, John Rout is back, and I'm going to be recording. This is episode 27 of A Geek Leader, and today I want to talk about a book that I read not too long ago called Unqualified, and it's by my pastor, Paster Steven Furtick, and it's all about how you can go through life having this feeling of inadequacy or being unqualified to do what you know you're meant to do or what you're called to do, and how do you pull that off? How do you get through that when you don't feel like you should be doing it or that you're qualified or able to do it? Maybe because of things in your past or because you're not as good as someone else. And we're always comparing and having this thing where we compare with other people. And one of my favorite quotes about this is the quote that we're always insecure because we compare everyone else's highlight reels to our behind the scenes. And I think that is so true. We're always looking at what other people are doing and how they're achieving and the things that they're accomplishing up front. And social media is like a huge part of this. We look at Facebook and we look at Twitter, and no one tweets their dirty laundry. No one tweets, the rough things that are going on. Now, Snapchat's a little bit different. If you're on Snapchat, there is a lot of behind the scenes and a lot of stuff that's going on there, which is pretty cool because you get to see kind of some of that behind the scenes. But even that is still edited and tailored, and they're only showing you the things that they want you to see. And what we do is we compare all of that with the stuff that's going on behind the scenes in our life that no one else is seeing. And we feel discouraged. We get let down, and we feel like we're not capable. So this book, I'm going to reach down and pick it up real quick, is called Unqualified, and it's How God Uses Broken People to Do Big Things is the subtitle. And when I went through this, I kept trying to relate this to leadership and to business and seeing how we can bring the things in this book and use it not just in our own personal lives, but use it to help others and to help the greater good. So I started thinking about it. Many times I do have fear that one day something's going to happen and everybody's going to say, well, you're just a fraud. You're not qualified to give leadership advice. You're not qualified to help people become better technical leaders because you yourself haven't been a great leader. You yourself haven't done this for long enough. And I have that feeling, and I do feel that way. But I also feel that I have a little bit of value to provide, and there's something that I can give you guys or something that I could tell you that would help you out down the road. And I do have my experiences that I can share. And I do feel like someone's going to come to me and tell me that I'm not qualified to host this podcast, and I'm not qualified to write about leadership or to teach people or to build mobile apps or any of that stuff that I do on a regular basis. And at that point, I feel like everything's going to get shut down. And I feel that way because sometimes I do feel unqualified. And if you look back on my career, I made my first mobile app, just because I Googled how to do it and I started making it and I submitted it to the App Store. And I thought it was going to be a total failure. And then people downloaded it. And, I started looking at the stats. And one day there's 35,000 downloads. The next day there's 25,000 downloads. The next day there's 40,000 downloads. And it's just one of those things where like, wow, this thing is actually working. Maybe I'm not just unqualified. Maybe I can do this stuff. Even though I didn't go to school for mobile app development. I mean, really, who did? They didn't have mobile app development. Mobile apps didn't exist when I was in college. But then again, God uses us to do things that we're not necessarily qualified to do. And he's done it all throughout the Bible. That's kind of what this book talks about. It goes through different leaders that were totally unqualified to do the things that they ended up doing, and they did very well. And one of the stories in here is from the movie Wreck-It Ralph. And if you have kids, you've probably seen this movie. But there's a character in this movie who is essentially just a glitch, right? There's something wrong with her. Her name is Vanellope, and she will just like glitch. She'll just shake, almost like a little tremor, a mini seizure or something, and then she'll appear somewhere else. She'll disappear from where she's at and appear somewhere else. And everybody's like, well, you can't play in this game because you're just a glitch and you won't be successful. And it's a racing game of some sort. But it turns out that her glitch is what actually makes her special. When she glitches, she can go ahead and get past some of the obstacles that the other racers are struggling with. It's because of her glitch or because of what other people thought made her unqualified to participate actually is what's making her great. And that's what this book's about. And I think the same can be applied to all of us in our leadership journey and as we move forward, is that a lot of times the experiences that we have that we may feel make us unqualified to be a leader and unqualified to step up and take action are the experiences that are necessary for us to. And they're the experiences that are going to help us when we do step forward. And they're going to be the experiences that relate to someone that we need to help, someone that we can reach out to and guide and assist in different ways. I've told the story many times of how my first time teaching, I felt totally unqualified to do that. So I'm not going to get into that again. If you want to hear that, just listen to the podcast on fear, anxiety, imposter syndrome, any of those, and you'll hear that story because I've told it a lot. But let's take a story inside of technology of someone who we all consider as a great technical leader. Maybe not the best guy in the world. Some people disagree with his leadership style, but there's no denying what he was able to achieve, and that's Steve Jobs. When you look at Steve Jobs, he was, what many would say would be unqualified to run a computer company when he started. He was a college dropout. He dropped out of classes and dropped into art and design classes and things that didn't relate to computers at the time, things that were, not really computer or technical classes. He wasn't a great programmer or developer. He really just didn't seem like he fit the mold of what a good computer startup person would be. I mean, he wasn't Bill Gates at the time. But what he had, the things that didn't make him great, his eye for design, his artistic ability, his creativity, those are the things that ended up taking Apple to the next level. Those are the things that had investors, realizing that, hey, this guy really can put a computer in every house. This guy really can do the things that he wants to do because he has vision, he has creativity, and he had the ability to communicate, to sell. If anybody's seen any of his keynotes that he did when he announced the iPod or the iPhone, they are spectacular. They're amazing. They're on par with some of the great speeches of this generation. And he was able to deliver those things and sell a product that maybe wasn't quite ready for the consumers at the time, but it was what they needed. He was able to drive them there. I mean, if we look at it today, he's basically one of the reasons why we all have smartphones. Yes, smartphones were out before the iPhone, but not like the iPhone. Not with a touchscreen that was very intuitive, that was easy for the masses, that had your iPod built into it, that had the ability for apps to be downloaded and installed over the air. There was so many features that didn't exist prior to that we now take for granted, that were visionary because of things that didn't make him qualified to run a technology company when he first started out. And we all have that same kind of journey. Maybe we're not going to be the next Steve Jobs, and I don't think any of us are, honestly. But if we can help and reach one person based on the things that we feel may make us unqualified, then we should do it. We should step up and be a leader and be qualified. So I encourage you all to check out this book by Steven Furtick. And just to give a little disclaimer, he is the pastor of the church that I attend, and I do absolutely love this book. I do want to tell one more personal story of Paster Steven Furtick, the author of this book, Unqualified. I got to meet him during a leadership lunch one Friday, and it was when I was going through a pretty rough time with my team. At the time, I had lost about 40% of my team to turnover, leaving for other positions that were higher paying. I wasn't a great leader at the time. This was 5 years ago, I guess. And I didn't really know how to handle it. And during this Q&A, this leadership lunch and learn thing, he asked for questions. And I asked the question of, how do you deal when people leave? When people leave your team and people that you invested in, that you've spent time with, that you helped try to grow, and then just up and leave you. How do you deal with that? And he said, at first I would get angry and get upset about why they left, and then the Lord told me one day that people can be like scaffolding, and other people are like the true building materials, and the ones like scaffolding are very useful and they're necessary to be there, and you have to put in time and energy to build them up and put them there. But in order for the team to be complete or the building to be complete, the scaffolding has to go away, and it's okay. And what you need to do is just wish them well, encourage them, be there for them when they're gone, but understand that in order for you to grow and your team to grow and to be complete, sometimes people have to leave and they have to go away, and that's okay. And that just gave me a different perspective to look at it, and it made me think of the situation a little bit different. and I was actually encouraged to move forward with that. So I think there's a lot more that can be found through these books, but this one is Unqualified by Steven Furtick. You can check it out at geekleader.com/unqualified or at geekleader.com episode 27. And that's it for the show today. Please leave a review in iTunes and subscribe if you're not already, and share these podcasts with your friends. Share them on social media. Ask me questions on Twitter. I'm at John Rauda, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks.